This is Punch Drunk Philosophy.
Hello people of the internet, what the fuck is up and welcome to Punch Drunk Philosophy. This is our preview show. We are previewing not UFC 196 but UFC Fight Night 82. Yeah, it was going to be the rematch for the heavyweight title. We had Verdum versus Kane. Kane got injured. Stipe stepped in. Then Verdum, who was already injured but pulled out due to injury. Stipe left poor alone. But now we have a 5-round awesome welterweight main event. I mean, this is a fucking sick fight. I'm your host, Adam Reel, and joining me as my fellow Punch Drunk Philosopher, we have the medical maestro all the way from Buffalo, New York, Dr. Tony Rosati. How are you today, sir?
Very excellent. How are you?
Very excellent indeed. Very excellent indeed. Really excited for these fights this weekend.
Absolutely. Big fans like ourselves can appreciate an event like this. I know there was a lot of backlash. Anytime you hear a main event is off, it sucks, but it's still an excellent card as we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, I think this is almost a blessing in disguise because I'm really glad that this is 5 rounds now, the main event. I think this is a very, very, very exciting card. There are a lot of really good matchups on it, especially the prelims. I mean, there's no single fight. I mean, there's a couple I think that could have the potential to be stinkers, but in terms of relevance, all the fights on this card are relevant on some level, including the one that's the setup for the golden ticket against CM Punk. But yeah, that's something we'll get into later. What we'll get into now is the welterweight main event. Former UFC heavyweight welterweight champion. I keep thinking he's a heavyweight because he's so big. He's so big for that weight.
He's very big.
Like, especially like people who said they've seen him in person, like he just does not look like a welterweight. Firas Zahabi said when George St. Pierre fought him that his camp said he was 205 pounds on fight night. That is ridiculous. And he also said George St. Pierre was 185 pounds, so that's a 20-pound advantage he's able to have on some guys. But yeah, Johnny Big Rig Hendricks, former UFC welterweight champion, is fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, Thompson is the hype train that everybody has been missing, I think. I remember when I first saw him, UFC 143. I worked to this night shift at this shitty hotel. There was a lot of snow. I barely got there, and I was really happy because ESPN, the channel that showed UFC, was doing free viewing for that, and I got to watch it on the big TV, and it was a fun night, UFC 143. Also, a bit of trivia, the first night they didn't use the Gladiator intro. They got rid of it and they had the Evolution intro. It was. Irrelevant fact, but Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was the first one on there. He got this insane high kick KO. He was coming off his incredible kickboxing career in the World Combat League, and he was undefeated for so long in kickboxing. So he was a very, very, very exciting striker. He took a fight short notice at UFC 145 against Matt Brown, where he sustained quite a bad loss, but and now he's on such a win streak that I don't think has gone as noticed as I think it should have. His recent fight with Ellenberger was an incredible performance, but I don't think it's got the attention that really was warranted because it was the day after UFC 189, which was obviously one of the biggest MMA events of all time. And the day after such a big event like that, you get a bit of fatigue. So even though it was such an impressive performance, nobody was talking about it because everybody was talking about Conor McGregor. After this weekend, though, I think everybody's going to be talking about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Tony, we'll go to you. Who are you initially picking in this, and what are your reasons for doing so?
My initial reaction is Hendricks. I think Hendricks is going to take this. Now, the method I'm not really sure about. It's kind of going to depend on what Thompson does. I would love to see it go 5 rounds. I think there's a potential for it to go 5 rounds. That being said, though, this is the first wrestler that Stephen Thompson, actually I've read everywhere, people are talking about it, and even Thompson's talking about it. He's trying to prepare. He hasn't seen a wrestler like this come in. And it's a classic kickboxer versus wrestler match. But the thing about Big Rig is he could throw down. And now is Thompson going to stay away, or is he going to try to? And I mean, his best bet is to use that reach advantage. He has a 6-inch reach advantage. Use his kickboxing skill and pick him apart. Unfortunately, Hendricks is on another level, another planet, if you will, than the opponents that Thompson has faced. Don't get me wrong, Thompson is the real deal. I actually got to see him live, and I remember thinking this guy's going to be good. When he knocked out Chris Clemens, I was there in Toronto as the undercard. So it's quite a thrill for me to see him firsthand and just see what he could do. But I think Hendricks has more of the skill. His big question with Hendricks has been his weight cut. And if anybody's been following social media around, he's been tweeting out pictures, and everybody else has been saying his weight cut is going well, and he is right on line to make his weight. So we shouldn't see him being sick and all that stuff and having issues with his conditioning. So my decision, I will say right now, I'm going to say Hendricks is going to wear him down. I think it's going to go 4, but I think Hendricks is going to actually take him down, and he's going to keep him there, ground and pound, TKO, 4th round. My final decision.
Okay, I disagree with that, obviously, because I think Thompson's going to take it. For main reasons. Johnny Hendricks, he turns out some really weird performances at times. He's very inconsistent as a fighter because of his conditioning, and not only in terms of weight cutting and cardio, in terms of he's had a lot of injuries. His left hand was injured in the Condit fight. I know that's a recurring injury that's given him a lot of problems. He does get those. And then when it comes to the weight cut, it seems that's always a topic of conversation in the run-up to Johnny Hendricks' fight. Is, I finally got my weight cutting on point. I finally got my conditioning training on point. I finally got my diet on point. I'm the best I've ever felt. He said that nearly before every fight, apart from obviously the most recent one when he had to go to the hospital because his health was so poor and he cut weight so badly. So obviously he's come in this fight. He's in a lot better condition for weight cutting. We don't know about his conditioning for fighting. He's doing a lot of strongman training now, which is very good. It builds a very functional strength, but he's also needed to tailor his strength and conditioning and diet around cutting weight. So it's very possible that he's lost some actual muscle. And also, I don't think a fighter at this level should be focusing so much on changing up their conditioning, because they should have really had their conditioning sorted out a long time ago. Their conditioning should be something they depend on, and their entire camp should be around skills. Especially against an opponent like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I don't know why strongman training really should play a feature in his camp. Such a prominent feature in his camp, because that's not going to be the asset that really will make the difference against someone like Stephen Thompson. Because the problem Big Rig has is the skills deficit. Well, no, sorry, not a skills. It's unfair to say skills deficit, but on the feet, definitely he's at a disadvantage, and he needs to work a way to get his wrestling. Now, Team Takedown, they're a very good gym. They're very good on that, and Hendricks has fought rangier opponents before, but not on the level of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That kind of striking. What I wanted to see is when I watched the countdown, when I studied Hendricks' camp, what I wanted to see his focus entirely on striking. And it's like, yeah, I can get in range strikers. I brought in all these guys to my camp. I've been training for a guy like Stephen Thompson. I've got all these training partners that replicate him. That's what I would wanted to have seen if Hendricks was going to take this fight. Wonderboy Thompson, though, on the other hand, has been very prepared for the wrestling of Johnny Hendricks. He's training with Chris Weidman. He's training with Ryan Hall, who's a great jiu-jitsu guy, just won the Ultimate Fighter. He's been training with, I can't remember that guy's name, Canadian wrestler, very, very high-level wrestler. Anyway, he's got great wrestlers in his camp. And his last fight against Ellenberger, you saw his wrestling was on point. He was able to take down Ellenberger. He was able to really out-grapple him. He showed really proficient skills in grappling there. I'm not saying he's going to out-wrestle Johnny Hendricks, because Johnny Hendricks is an incredibly powerful wrestler, but I think he's going to be very, very well prepared for a wrestler. Now, you mentioned his knockout power, Tony. Do you really think he has that much power? I mean, has it? Because the thing is, it doesn't really translate well to the top strikers in the division.
True.
It's not translated to the top guys in the division. The guys he's knocked out, have been orthodox fighters. Let's forget, Wonderboy Thompson is mainly a southpaw. Has been orthodox fighters he's been able to catch with that big straight left. The guys before that, obviously, like low level, or they're just really small, like Charlie Brenneman, and a lot of them weren't knocked out flat. But yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those guys. His knockout power, it looks impressive, but it's not been functional. Do you disagree with that? Do you think he does have power, even though he's been getting mostly decisions?
I mean, if you watch his wars that he has had, I mean, look at, for somebody like Robbie Lawler, he caught Lawler with some hard shots, but Lawler again, he's another beast. You just can't. He's got a rock of a head. So I mean, the thing is, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you're absolutely right. I'll give you that. He hasn't really shown it against the top level fighters. With Wonder Boy, he is on a tear. I have one foot on this hype train and the other foot is still on the ground. I want to see what happens. I think he's very dangerous, and I think it could go his way. I just think, I don't know. I think it's going to be too much, honestly. And yes, I do think that left hand could still catch him, regardless of orthodox, unorthodox fighter or whatnot. Sure, it's not, it's not ideal, and it's not usually the commonplace thing that happens. But I don't know. Hendricks, though, to me is still a beast when it comes to it. So yes, I do think he has the power. I do think he has the power to take him out. Now, again, the training situation, if that's in fact true, then yeah, it's going to be a long night for Hendricks, and we're going to see him fall down the rung, and he's not going to get a title fight anytime soon. I think he's hungry, though. I think he wants it, and I think, of course, not to take away from Thompson, I think Thompson wants it too. He wants to get their respect. He's up and coming, but how long is he going to be up and coming before he gets up to that? They just got elevated to the main event. I think Hendricks is still bitter about the GSP split decision loss. I still think he wants to get that belt back after he lost it from Lawler. Remember, his last two losses were split decisions. Arguably, one of them was a win, depending on who you talk to on that GSP one. I'm one that think he won it. Now, he wants that belt back. I think he's very dangerous. I think he's more focused now. The conditioning, the power fighting thing, the strongman crap, yeah, I have no idea why he's focusing on that either. Kind of makes no sense to me at all. The one thing I do worry about, though, is that reach. That reach is pretty significant, and if Thompson can pick him apart, it's going to neutralize that wrestling, and you're going to see what happens with it. So I don't know. We're going to see. It's one of those ones that I'm not comfortable with as far as my pick. I was more comfortable about it until I started kind of gauging things and looking at his fights and everything, and kind of seeing, what, Thompson I was giving a little bit less credit than I should have. He's very dangerous. So this is my pick. I'm going to stick to it, my pick that I said before, but it's not very confident. So if I had to assign a point scale, it would be my least favorable one out of all of them. So I hope he proves me right. I like to be right. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's good for the division that if Thompson won, let's be honest, to see some new blood on top of it. So, but this division is exciting to begin with. So who knows what's going to be next for these guys?
It will be sort of a crazy arrival of Stephen Thompson if he's able to, especially finish Johnny Hendricks.
Yeah.
Johnny Hendricks sort of represents that he could be playing gatekeeper in this, in the sense that we always have these really exciting fighters rise through the ranks, or they gain a lot of steam in other promotions.
Yep.
But we don't know how good they are as a fighter until they encounter the elite wrestling skill set in the UFC. Because that's usually something we don't see outside the UFC is elite wrestling. And there's always the wrestler question, especially when you've got guys who are striker specialists. Like there was Conor McGregor. Obviously, that's the most prominent recent example. But Also, you mentioned GSP. Stephen Thompson has trained a lot with GSP and has trained a lot up at TriStar as well. So he's been getting the best training in MMA. And there's a lot of there's a lot of mockery about guys who have their fathers in their corner. But Stephen Thompson's father, I can't remember the name of him, but he's very in tune and very knowledgeable. They go into his corner instructions in the Ellenberger fight. They go into that in the countdown for this, and his father's very in tune with his coaching and in-fight game planning. And Thompson works with him, and it pays off. It's very good. Well, he's a very intelligent fighter. He's worked on his skills a lot. He's a great athlete, and I think this hype train's been a long time coming. Obviously, though, Johnny Hendricks, I agree, does have a lot of tools to win this fight. If he's able to disrupt Thompson, if he's able to take him down consistently, if he's able to, because a lot of those karate stances, they leave you open for single legs a lot of the time. So Johnny Hendricks could latch onto one of those. And usually if someone like Hendricks grabs onto your hips, you're going down. You're getting dumped. Unless, of course, you're Robbie Lawler with like insane takedown defense. But another exception. If it goes 5 rounds, though, let's assume it goes 5 rounds. Who do you think it benefits more? Well, okay, yeah. Now it's been changed from a 3-round to a 5-round fight. I'll rephrase this. Who do you think benefits more from this change?
Well, I mean, you have to look at the history of it, and I think, I mean, honestly, you could look at it both ways. You could look at it, it's going to benefit Hendricks because he's been through some of those 5-round wars already. But with his issues of conditioning, is that going to be a factor against him? That could be another thing. The way it looks now, the way it appears to be, and if everything's going that way, I would say it benefits Hendricks as long as looks like his weight is on, his conditioning, he's doing all the things right. And I mean, if you look at his last 5 fights or so, they all went to decision. And 3 out of the 5 were a full 5-round rounds. So as far as Thompson, again, we don't know. He's been in the octagon not as long as Hendricks. He hasn't been through these 5-round wars. So honestly, if it went to a decision, I'd have to say that Hendricks is going to wear him down. Believe it or not, even though Hendricks has his conditioning, as one of his downfalls. How about you?
I disagree. I think it benefits Thompson more. Simply because I think it's harder to, because obviously Hendricks needs to go with a wrestling heavy game plan to win here. Threaten the takedown to make Thompson question his striking and then possibly come over with a big right or a big left. Because obviously Thompson has his hands down as well, which works to his advantage, especially when it comes to takedown defense. But if you go for the fake takedown, fire a punch sort of thing, that could catch him. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot harder to wrestle for 5 rounds than it is to strike for 5 rounds. Thompson has got very good cardio. His last camp was based around fighting for 5 rounds. He's got greater finishing ability, I believe, than Johnny Hendricks. So he's got 25 minutes to eke out a finish. Whereas Johnny Hendricks, if it was 3 rounds, he could sort of semi-strike and then take him down at the end of the round to sneak 3 and try and get a few minutes on top. I think that's a lot harder to do 5 times than it is 3. Also, Hendricks, with something I've noticed, he does have a tendency to lay back a couple of times and and this is what lost him the fight with Robbie Lawler the second time, is just allow his opponents to get off combinations. Like, I don't know if it's out of fatigue or just that's his style of defending, just to sort of cover up. But it looks bad when your opponent is able to get off full combinations, especially a guy like Thompson. But yeah, I think Thompson will catch him. I'm not sure if he will finish Johnny Hendricks. Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to call Stephen Thompson via second round KO. Let's have it that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he puts Johnny Hendricks away.
Okay, interesting.
Okay.
And see, I think another point to be made too with it is, while yes, if you're a wrestler and you're trying to do that, it's going to tire you out. The difference between you and I is I believe that Hendricks will get him down, and I believe Hendricks will wear him down that way. And that's my thought. And as you know, when you got somebody's body on top of you and you're defending and trying to grapple with somebody, that's a workout and a half. Yes, it's going to be a workout for Hendricks, but if he's the pursuer and he's the aggressor on that, that's all his body weight on him. I think he's going to pressure him that way, and it's going to, like I said, yeah, Thompson is not used to this level of wrestler yet that he's faced. Yes, in camp he has, absolutely. It's a different story when you walk through that octagon, though. So that's my thinking with it is I feel like he'll sustain the pressure on him and wear him down, and that's why I still say 4th round by Johnny.
It's a very reasonable prediction, and you've got a good argument for it. The odds makers agree with you. Johnny Hendricks as that. We're going, just to clarify about odds, we're going via 5thround.com's odds. So yeah, Johnny Hendricks on there is a -220 favourite. Stephen Thompson +175. If you're in England and don't know what I'm talking about, then yeah, look up. We're using American odds because I like them better. I think it's bullshit explaining all the kind of like 14-2, 15-2, yeah, all the kind of weird odds we use in England. I think the American odds system is more appealing. So that's what we're going to go for on Punch Drunk Philosophy.
Yeah, we don't have the metric system, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So to summarize, you're going with 4th round TKO for Johnny Hendricks.
Yes.
I am going with 2nd round KO for Stephen Thompson. Now, just a quick point about betting here. We are not a betting podcast. With MMA gambling in general, it's just gamble responsibly, people. Gamble responsibly. I don't want to be shot up with emails angry about people losing money. Seriously, only bet what you can afford to lose. And a great fun thing about MMA is unpredictability. So don't stack your entire night, because when you see an MMA event and something completely unpredictable, something wild, something you don't expect to happens, that's often a very thrilling thing. Don't make it a bad night and a bad memory of what should have been a really fun card because you lost a lot of money on it. Just use it responsibly, guys. Use it responsibly. We're not gambling experts here. We do bets, but yeah. So we don't count us officially as like an odds cast or professional gamblers or anything. This is not a very wise and sustainable way of making money. So just to clarify, we're not encouraging people to take our advice very solidly in terms of actually settling your financial future on. Just had to cover that. But yeah, those are our picks. Now, on to the co-main event of the evening. Longtime veteran of the heavyweight division, former Ultimate Fighter winner, Roy Nelson, is taking on Jared Rosholt. Now, this is, in their last 6 fights, Roy Nelson is 1-5, and Jared Rosholt is 5-1. It's so weird, heavyweight as a division, that a guy could be ranked 11th despite losing 5 fights in their last 6. Okay, so I'll let you give your prediction first, Tony, and your thoughts on this fight. Who do you like?
This another one. I'm terrible, and I would like to point out about the gambling disclaimer that Adam gave us. Anybody that knows me, I just would like to say that if you're listening to my gambling advice, you need to probably check yourself into a mental hospital. Because I'm not the one you want to take advice to. Trust me, everything I pick probably is going to be the opposite. So, going to this fight, very interesting. Roy Nelson could possibly, I read somewhere that Nelson, there could be the argument to have him cut from the UFC simply because there's no really use for him. Which I don't know if I necessarily agree with. If you look at his losses, every single one of his losses is to a beast in that division. I mean, where do we go? I mean, we go with former champions and guys that could take your head off and current champions in different divisions. I mean, it's unbelievable between JDS and Cormier and Overeem and his last one to Barnett. All these, I mean, so his losses aren't to, guys that are bottom feeders by any means. The question is, though, is Nelson done? Is he at the end? I mean, he's 39 years old. You know, he's had a good career. You know, he's known for his belly, and he's known for that. I mean, that beautiful lock of hair going down to his face and all that stuff. So he's an interesting individual. He's going against a guy that's, you know, that's been 5-1. You said, I think, in his last 6. His only loss is to Oleinik, who's proven to be very dangerous. The heavyweight division is a mess. We've talked about this time and time again. I like Rosholt in this to get the upset. I have no rhyme or reason. I just think Big Country is a desperate man. Of course, desperate people, you corner them and they're going to come out and win. I'm probably going to be wrong in this one, but there's just a feeling. I'm going to pick Rosholt. I'm going to pick him based on, I like his camp a little bit better. I like some of the things he's doing. He looked very good against, granted, not a great opponent with Stefan Struve anymore. After his heart issue, I think it's zapped him a little bit, and rightfully so. Rosholt, I see him being a little bit of the future. I don't know if he's going to be, you know, with this catastrophe of a division, though, who knows? I can't even say if he's going to be up there, because you never know. Who knows what's going to happen with this division? I like Rosholt. I like him by decision. I think this is not going to be a fun fight to watch.
No, yeah, I agree with you entirely that I think Rosholt's going to take it. I think he's going to take it by decision, and I think it could be a very boring, slow fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rosholt's at Team Takedown, the same gym as Johnny Hendricks, so he's well prepared. He's done very well. Roy Nelson, yeah, he has been on a big slide. I don't think he's going to get cut simply for business reasons, especially heavyweights, especially marketable heavyweights. I think it's very dangerous business-wise for the UFC to let them go and allow them to be taken up by someone like Bellator, especially with the kind of shit that Roy Nelson will talk on the UFC, because he's not got the best relationship with Dana White. So, it doesn't make business sense to cut him. I think Roy Nelson's going to fight out his career in the UFC, and I think it could end Saturday night. He's 10 years older than Rosholt. He's at a reach disadvantage to Rosholt, and he's very, very easy to game plan for. He's not an athlete, and he's really only got that one proper tool that's been effective. And that's only been effective against guys who've got poor striking defense. Chet Congo has not got good striking defense, especially for that big right. Big Nog, not the best striking defense and kind of past it, not got the best movement. And obviously then there's Dave Herman and Matt Mitrione. And when he does catch them with that hand, then yeah, they get put away. But if you know how to move, if you know how to avoid it, it's a pretty easy one to neutralize. And a lot of fighters have been able to do that. Cormier was able to do it. Hunt was able to do it. Overeem was able to do it. Josh Barnett was able to do it. And now I think Rosholt will be able to do it. He's got good movement. He moves in and out. He shoots his double and single legs really well. He's got really good cardio. He did get caught by Oleksiy Oleinik, which was surprising, but I think that means he'll be more cautious from now on. I don't think he had glaring chin issues, because it's fucking heavyweight. Everybody gets hit really hard at heavyweight. Oleinik hits hard, so he caught him with that. Rosholt went down. It happened. I don't think he'll set him back too much, and I don't think it'll be the case in this fight. I see Nelson as being done. I think he'll sort of plod forward, look for that hand, and Rosholt will land those jab crosses, maybe push him up against the cage quite a bit. Roy Nelson will be taking heavy breaths by the end of round 1, and yeah, I don't see this as being a very impressive fight. I think Rosholt's going to win, but I don't think he's going to impress. If he does finish him though, then hey, maybe we've got another contender at heavyweight. But it's heavyweight. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows?
You got that right.
Okay, so summarize. We're both taking Jared Rosholt by decision.
Lackluster decision too.
Lackluster decision. Okay, we both agree on that.
Yes.
Okay, now let's move on to the 205 light heavyweight division. We have Ovince St. Preux versus Rafael Feijão Cavalcante. I think this will be a beatdown. I really do. Oh yeah, wait, shit, 2 seconds. Just going back, mentioning the odds for heavyweight. Wait 2 seconds, I'll bring that up. Do you have those up? What are those odds?
The odds are, just give me 1
I
second.
think Roy Nelson is the favourite.
Roy Nelson
wait,
is
yeah,
the favorite, yes.
yeah, Roy Nelson is the minus 165 favourite. Jared Rosholt is a plus 135 underdog. I've taken two underdogs in a row. And yeah, you are joining me in taking the underdog.
Yes.
Okay, now we will move on to the light heavyweight division, the 205-pound class. We have Ovin St. Peru taking on Rafael Fejal Cavalcante. Now, I think this will be a beatdown, and the odds agree with me. Minus 400 on Ovin St. Peru and plus 300 on Fejal. Fejal was a good opponent in Strikeforce. He's the only guy to beat Yoel Romero. He has not looked the same getting into the UFC after his failed drug test win to Mike Kyle in the final Strikeforce event, and especially since USADA has come in, his physique has looked very different. His cardio has been bad. His cardio in the Patrick Cummins fight was bad. Now, Ovin St. Peru, I don't think it's right to call him an up-and-comer. I don't think he's going to be like the future of MMA, but I really, really like him. I find him very entertaining. I think he's a great interview after the fight as well, because he's genuinely very, very passionate. He's a very intelligent fighter. He likes techniques. He's very proud of his technique. He was talking about the Wizard against someone like, was it Cody Donovan he won? Yeah, I remember he gave an interview about it. He was really enthusiastic about this Wizard he pulled off, and the Von Flue choke against Nikita Krylov. He's got some interesting techniques, and like the Patrick Cummins uppercut, he's going to have some technical plans for Rafael. So, and I think Fejal is going to fade in the second round. I don't think his cardio's conditioning is going to hold up because, I don't like to openly accuse guys of steroid use, but he's failed drug tests in the past, and after USADA, he's looked a lot different. So I'm going to smoke without fire sort of thing. And I say Fejal is not as good because I don't think he's getting as good nutrition these days. Tony, who do you like in this fight?
OSP by complete and utter domination. Fejal is nostalgic for me, and I'll tell you why. I'm just going to go into a brief little thing on this. I remember in 2000, and this is more my personal life than anything, but sometimes these fighters bring up some memories. So for me, I'm getting ready to move in my life, and as far as my old house, and I remember 2009, 2010, around there, Strikeforce was on regularly on Showtime in the United States. And I remember at family parties and everything and whatever I would have, because I've always been I've been a mixed martial arts nut for quite some time now. And it would always be on in the background. And I remember, dear God, it seemed like every other card, Fejal was on it. And I just remember him, and it's funny because another guy coming up that we're going to be talking about in prelim fight, KJ Noons, was another guy. When I think of those two guys, I think of them in the Strikeforce Challenger Series and then the Strikeforce, because it almost seemed like every week Strikeforce. And I remember Mauro Ranallo, commentating on both of them. But that being said, Fejal never impressed me before. He was always that name. I mean, he's got a couple good wins. I mean, he beat King Mo back in 2010, and then he beat Romero. But if you look at his other things, when he's been tested against the best of the best, he's come up short. I mean, from Dan Henderson to Thiago Silva, Bader, and then Cummins, which he looked god awful against. And then you take Ovin St. Peru, and Cummins got knocked out by OSP. Yep. I love OSP, and I remember first watching OSP when he came up, and speaking of Strikeforce Challengers, he was in it. And OSP is a pure athlete. I mean, this guy was Division I Tennessee, football player that went into it. He's very likable. He's very fun to watch. I agree with you 100%. He is one of my, fanboy. I'm a fanboy. Like, I love OSP. I'm a fan, I'm an old school fan. I love Shogun, but I got giddy when OSP knocked out, yes, a shell of the former Shogun, albeit. Yeah. But it was still kind of cool to see. Like, if there's somebody You don't want to see people, your legends and everything. Like Machida knocking out Couture didn't sting too bad because I could appreciate Machida, but it just little things like even Rich Franklin knocking out Chuck. You get a little sad because you watch Chuck, you watch him and him just slumping like that. Nothing against you, Rich. I met you. You're a very nice guy. You love God and everything, and you're a very good guy. But just seeing a legend like Chuck crumble like that, for OSP, it was almost like a change of the guard, so to speak, for me. Just because I'm a fan, and it showed that the future is going to be bright with him. Teixeira obviously caught him in a submission in his last fight, so that was. But Teixeira, I still think, is a little bit on another level as OSP. If OSP could string up a couple wins here, I think there's still, I mean, the window's still open on him. I think he's he's 32, but I mean, I think with his reach, I think with his pedigree and his dedication to it, I think he could get up there. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to, be fighting for the title with a logjam. And I mean, I know he lost to, his two recent losses, Bader and Teixeira, and they're, pretty much OSP could get caught in that gatekeeper role as well, too. So you got to watch out for that, where he's going to be somebody like a Michael Bisping, where you're going to beat all those guys around your skill and below you in the rankings. But then when you reach up a little bit, like somebody say Rumble loses and then down the line, Rumble regains it. And there could be a number one contender between the two of them. Obviously, I think Rumble's going to win that right now. But OSP by a mile on this one. I don't think it gets out of the first round, honestly. I think Feijão, I just watched an interview that Sherdog did with Feijão, and they were talking to him at Team Nogueira, and he was talking about Anderson Silva for more of the interview, which I found was interesting. They asked him the first question they asked him about, and Feijão gave props to OSP and talking about, he's a very technical striker and, blah, 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 but he's ready. And they even asked him, how are you training for it? And it seemed like his answers were very vague, which is fine. You don't want to give away your game plan, but the interviewer almost pretty much gave the answer for us. And he didn't seem to be, you could just tell, he's not as focused. He says he is, but you just know when you look at a fighter and you see them, and you can tell. And to me, I think he may be underestimating him a little bit. I don't know if he really knows about OSP. And Feijão, pretty much what they were getting at is he's going to train with the wrestling, and he's at Team Nogueira. But then all of a sudden it turned Anderson Silva's not at camp to, and then next thing you know, it was a 5-minute interview, and 4 minutes of it was him talking about Anderson Silva. So I have no idea what that was all about, but yeah, this is going to be fun to watch. I predict a performance of the night out of OSP on this one too. So first round knockout, Ovin St. Preux.
I agree with everything you said there, apart from I don't think OSP I don't think he can break the top 5. It's hard for me to say that. I really, really like him. I think he's going to give a few really good performances. I agree with first round KO, but he's a very, very, he's on the wrong side of 30. He's had a lot of experience as a fighter. He's gone through a lot, and his skills are good, but I don't think they are on the level, and I don't think we've seen the level of improvement in between fights necessary to call him anything in terms of like rising to title contention. I think those claims we can't really justify so much. And also he's at Knoxville MMA. I mean, I don't know Knoxville MMA so much, and he clearly has good coaches and good relationship with his coaches, but I don't think they can carry him to the elite of elite. And I think if he wants to sort of change up his game, he needs to get to somewhere like Jackson's or AKA or TriStar. If he moves camps to one of those places, then yeah, I will get excited about his title prospect. But sadly, I don't think he's going to crack that top 5 status. But I agree with you. Performance of the night, first round knockout for Ovin St. Preux. We're both picking that? Good.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the next fight. Flyweight division, Joseph Benavidez versus Zach Makowski. Now, this is a great opportunity for Zach Makovsky because at the flyweight division is short of title contenders. We've got Henry Cejudo fighting next, but everybody else in the division has either been beaten by Demetrius Johnson or has been beaten by proxy, as in he's beaten somebody who's beaten them. Makovsky falls onto that category because he's lost to John Dodson and he's lost to GCF Omega, and John Dodson obviously has lost to Demetrius Johnson twice, and GCF Omega has lost to Benavidez, who, was beaten by Johnson twice. So Benavidez, in sort of typical Team Alpha Male fashion, has been beating everybody in the division apart from the champ. So he's in that sort of spot where you've lost to the champion twice, especially the last time being a violent, quick KO loss. So you can't really get another title shot unless you win to the point that really, fuck it, there's nothing else we can do. If Makovsky can steal this, though, I think he can leapfrog and get a title shot, because if he beats the number one ranked guy, the sort of perpetual number one contender who can't get a title shot, then we've got a title contender on our hands. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Benavidez is better. What do you think on this fight, Tony?
Absolutely. I don't think there's a question. I think Benavidez wins. It's very interesting. If you look at Benavidez, we often forget about Joe Benavidez at the top of that division. You look at Mighty Mouse, and then there's everybody else. And I would include, obviously, Benavidez. I would include him in there with Dodson, with the whole weight class shifting and everything. But Benavidez, look at his 4 losses. He lost to Mighty Mouse twice, and he lost to Cruz twice. I believe he lost to Cruz twice. And if you think about that, 2 of those losses were split decisions. He's the only person to take Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse has lost twice, and he's had that draw to McCall. Besides those, Mighty Mouse has either won via finish or a unanimous decision, except once. And Benavidez took him to a split decision.
That split decision was bullshit, though. I mean, what the fuck was that judge smoking that gave it to Benavidez?
Yeah, but also, what was the bullshit with the draw too, though? That's that was a whole other thing too. But yes, you're absolutely right. But what I'm saying is, his 4 losses are to guys that are out of this world, and you're looking at, the 2 champions right now. Benavidez is amazing, and it's just unfortunate that he's in division with Mighty Mouse. And I think if there's one person on this planet that is eager for Mighty Mouse to move up in weight class, it's this guy. Because
hell yes.
He's waiting for this, and look at his his resume is fantastic. And Zach Makovsky, the only thing he's got going for him is his nickname, which I didn't even know until this graphic you put. I'm big on nicknames, but Fun Size, that's a great nickname.
Yeah.
Also that could also, as long as he's not talking about his penis, that's a nickname. So
that's more an Anthony Johnson thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There we go again with Anthony Johnson. Nice.
I think he has a small penis. Anthony Johnson quite likely has a small penis. Sorry, yeah. Back to Jack Fun-Size Makovsky.
You could talk about penises and all that stuff and whatever, it's all good. I'm not going to judge. But anyway, Makovsky, he's going to lose this fight, and he's going to string off. He's going to be one of those guys in the division that's going to be, they're going to fill him in. He's going to be the mid-card. Not UFC Fight Pass. He'll be, in the prelims on Fox Sports or whatever, and he'll be fighting the people like he's been fighting. Not so much Dodson, but Formiga and somebody like a Scott Jorgensen, people, Ali Bagatinov, Moraga, people like that. Just in the middle of the division, kind of beating each other out. Unfortunately for Makovsky, there's nowhere really to go. He's not going to get cut. He's just going to be a mainstay in the UFC that's not going to get a title shot, I feel. He's very talented, just not talented enough. Benavidez wins this. I'm going to go by submission. I'm going to give it... I don't want to do another first round. I think this is going to be very dominant. I think this could end quickly. I'm going to say second round submission for Joe Jiu-Jitsu. And your thoughts?
I I agree with that almost completely, to be honest. Another interesting thing about this fight is Joseph Benavidez spending most of his time now in Team Elevation, I think it's called, the one Dwayne Ludwig and TJ Dillashaw's camp out in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
As you remember, my bold prediction for 2016 was that Team Alpha Male wouldn't survive it. If Benavidez looks greatly improved in this fight, especially if he gets a finish, I think we might I don't know about, unfortunately. I mean, I've got nothing against Team Alpha Male. I really, really, really like Uriah Faber. I'm a big fan. This is just a prediction based on what I've seen. I think a few people there will consider their options and think that they'll have a better chance at reaching that top level if they transition over to Team Elevation. I don't know, because Benavidez has got a guy, he said he's not leaving Team Alpha Male, even though he's had a very mixed camp. But, yeah, I think that's one thing that might come of this. But, yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, I think we're going to see Benavidez wrap up another win. He's a very, very, very good fighter, very elite skills, very, very good on the ground. I think Makovsky is, yeah, he's good. He's just not threatening. He's not a very dangerous fighter. And if you're going to beat Benavidez, and if you're a decision fighter and you're beating Benavidez, you need to show that you can consistently out-wrestle opponents. You can consistently, outstrike them to the point that you impress judges by the fact that you make them look hurt. You make those shots count. But yeah, I don't see that from Makovsky, and I agree with you, Benavidez, second round submission. Okay, and the odds agree with us on this. They have Benavidez as a very heavy favourite, minus 450, and Makovsky as a plus 325 underdog. Now, let's get into the next fight, where in the light heavyweight division, where we've got an even bigger favourite and an even bigger underdog, Misha Tserkunov. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's Latvian.
That sounds great to me.
And it's minus 900 as a favourite, and Alex Nicholson making his UFC debut at plus 550. Now, this one is going to go quite under the radar. I don't suppose many people have seen these guys fight. Tserkunov has only fought once in the UFC before. Daniel Jolley by a quick knockout. It was very, very impressive. And these guys, we've got very quick finishers. Alex the Spartan Nicholson fighting out of UFC Gym Winter Springs in Apopka, Florida. He's only got one loss, a decision loss to a guy called Mark Inge or Inge. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, I checked out the fight on YouTube earlier. It's a very fun fight. Check it out. That's his only loss. I asked the only opponent to beat Alex Nicholson earlier on Facebook. Actually, I stalked him down and asked, "Hey, you're the only guy to beat this guy. He makes his UFC debut. How do you think?" No, I'm not going to go on my Facebook and look up the exact thing he said, but to paraphrase, he said he'll do very well if he can cope with the change of stage, because he's very, very athletic, he's very strong, he's young, he's fresh, he's talented. You look at this guy, he is talented, but the whole thing about this fight, I'm going to say it's very, very interesting. It'll be a very interesting experiment to observe. Alex Nicholson has only been fighting really on the regional circuit for a while, and if you look on his fights on YouTube, you can tell it's a very, very different atmosphere than the UFC. People say octagon jitters isn't a thing. Daniel Cormier is one example I think of all the time when I think of octagon jitters, because he fought in Strikeforce, he fought in Good Show, he fought with the Olympics, so he's used to having kind of like big athletic pressure put upon him. But he said after his fight with Frank Mir, I think it was his debut, that it was just a completely different animal. It was a completely different beast. The whole Big Show, the whole experience was so, wow, just everything around it, the pressure, the crowd, the professionalism, everything. Yeah, just everything was very, very overwhelming. So it'll be very interesting to see Alex Nicholson rise to the occasion. Both of these guys are finishers. They're all in their full 5-0 in their last 5 fights, and all by submission. So when we get to guys that are such early finishers, well, most of them finished in the first round. When we get guys that are such early finishers, we either get them both frantically going to finish first, like making sure they put this guy away before he puts them away, or we get the John Jones Vitor Belfort approach of neutralizing the dangerous fighter in the first round. Misha Tsakonov, he's a very interesting guy. There's a documentary out about him from the promotion he used to fight for. It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's quite good. He's got a very good high kick. He's got a very good finishing instincts. He's got a very good jab. So in that spirit, I'll say he's the logical favorite. But I might actually put a tenner on Alex Nicholson to win this because it's at this heavyweight class with such high finishes. It could happen. It could happen. They're both. Yeah, Tsakonov is a very smart guy. He's one to watch. If he can pull out an early finish here, I'm going to expect him to produce a lot more exciting fights down the road. But Alex Nicholson, obviously very green. You can't depend on him, but I wouldn't say count him out either. Tony, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I like probably most of our audience, I didn't really know much about this. I'm basing all it on the odds. Minus 900 is there's a reason behind it. I'm going to go with a quick and violent knockout. And it's not, unfortunately for Alex, I'm going to have to go against him. I'm going to go Misha first round knockout. Unfortunately, have not seen even the Jolly knockout either. So I do apologize to everybody out there. This is one that I'm actually very, green around the gills too about this too. So I'm going to go with Cirkunov just based on that alone. You actually taught me a little bit today. So
well, yeah, this was a hard fight to research, to be honest. I mean, the Jolly fight isn't even on Fight Pass. Right. And yeah, I had to do most of it on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, I just find this interesting in terms of the stylistic matchup. I think Cirkunov could be someone to keep an eye on. He trains out of Extreme Couture with very good gym. So, his wrestling's going to be good. His striking's going to be good. I agree. I think first round knockout for Misha Cirkunov. Alex Nicholson, yeah, he can get hit. Well, he did get hit in this fight with, the Silverback. That's his nickname. He got hit in that. He got out-wrestled in that. But obviously he's worked a lot on his game. He's very athletic. So guys you get who are very athletic like that, they often are able to pick up techniques. They're often to get a lot smarter, a lot quicker. I don't know UFC Gym Winter Springs, the camp he's fighting out of. But, well, yeah, we'll find out. This fight is just interesting in terms of experiment. I think it will be a barn burner. I think both of these guys are going to go solidly hardcore for the finish, and it'll just be interesting to see them rise to the occasion. So to summarize, we are both taking Misha Cirkunov by a first round KO. Now, onto the welterweight division. Mike Quicksand Pyle versus Sean Spencer. Mike Pyle, a real veteran of the game. About practically the definition of the word veteran. 26 wins, 11 losses. Spent a long time in the UFC. He's had that reputation of being a guy who destroys everybody in the gym, like an absolute beast of a gym fighter, but has not been able to translate that so well to success in the octagon. He's been hit and miss. He's had some good wins in his career. He had the win against Rick Story recently, I thought was very good, but he dropped the knockout to Matt Brown, he dropped the knockout to Jordan Mean, and he dropped the decision to Colby Covington. Colby Covington, though, I think is a very good rising prospect, so there's no shame in that. But his back is up against the wall. And when you see a guy whose back is up against the wall, he'll either fight really timidly, really safely, or they will come out and try and get the Leonard Garcia treatment, because Leonard Garcia fought for ages, lost loads of fights without getting cut because he simply was super exciting. He fought like a beast. Mike Pyle is always exciting. I can't really remember him being in that many boring fights. So yeah, we could see a barn burner in this one, but he's 40 years old now, so yeah, I don't know, this could be his last one. Sean Spencer is a guy who, he didn't lose his last fight against Cathal Pendred, by the way, just to clarify, that's on his record, but bullshit. Worst judging I have ever seen. That's probably an exaggeration, but it was terrible judging. And the win against Paulo Thiago, has been on a slide. Drew Dober's an important win. Yuri Villafort's a big win, but yeah, I see Mike Pyle taking this. I think he's got I think he's just got more tools. I think he'll be quite focused. He is the underdog, though, in this. Plus 135. Sean Spencer, minus 165 favorite. I like Pyle more. I don't really have that many accurate reasons to pick him. He's probably on a slide. I think he will swing this out. I think he will threaten more. I think he's got good judges awareness at times, as in like timing when he goes for flurries. He's got very good hands. He's got very good knockout ability. But yeah, I think he'll take a decision win in this one. Tony, what do you think?
I agree with you on Pyle. I disagree with you on the finish. I believe that Pyle will submit him.
Okay.
Spencer has 4 losses. 2 of them are by sub, and yes, one of them is by Rafael Natal, who's no joke. Pyle is on the wrong side of the octagon. He's 40 years old, but he does have a ton of tools. He has that experience. It's been an impressive resume. If you look at some of the people that he's fought, even early in his career, he fought Rampage in a local promotion in Memphis where he lost he lost the decision. But even just the string of wins that he came up and won was, not terrible. Josh Neer, James Head, and Rick Story right in a row before dropping, to Matt Brown. And he's been in there with Rory McDonald, although that was a short. But Ricardo Alameda, so he's been around. Plus, he's got the best haircut game in the planet. I could appreciate being a hockey player. I could appreciate the old hockey haircut. So his hair is definitely veteran status as well with the mullet. So we could always expect that. I see, the experience over it. I'm not sold on Sean Spencer at all. Cathal Pendred, you're absolutely right. That was a horrible, horrible decision loss for him. He shouldn't have, but again, I'm not sold on Pendred either. So I don't think I think there was a lot of hype with Pendred when he came up. I'm not really crazy about him. Paul Tiago, same thing. His wins, they're okay, but he's not, to me, it's not anything special. So, based on that alone and based on Pyle and the fact that he has these tools, I think he comes out of a better, training, and he's more apt to take this easily, I think. Let me scratch that. Kind of, I think easily. I think he'll pick him apart. I think the IQ is there too for Pyle. And he has that over Spencer. Again, this could prove us wrong. If you look at the odds right now, we have, it's closer than most of them. 165 to 135. So, but yeah, before I keep rambling on, I see Pyle taking this via submission. I'll go second round on this one.
Yeah, you've got a good argument for that. Pyle's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Syndicate MMA are a very good team. I'll agree with that. I'm not by submission. I think
right.
Pyle will take this, but by decision. I think it will be a dominant decision. But yeah, I see his fight IQ and experience carrying him. I'm debating whether I think this will be the last time we see Mike Pyle in the octagon. If it is, all the love in the world to him. You've had a great career. I've really, really, really enjoyed watching him fight. Every time Mike Pyle has been on a card, I've been like, ooh, yay. He's one of those guys that really, really kind of when you have a fight night, him appearing on the card is usually one of the more interesting aspects, one of the exciting things that keeps you going. Mike Pyle, yeah, great fighter, great, very, very, very entertaining one, a veteran of the game. So to clarify, Tony is taking Mike Pyle by second round submission, and I am taking Mike Pyle by decision. And now we move on to the lower fights on the card. We've got quite a few. I don't think any of these are in any way completely insignificant, because all of these fights have consequences, apart from maybe the Lewis Grabowski fight. But yeah, all of them have some level of interest in them. Let's quickly go down these prelims before we let these people out there in the internet get on with their day. We've got Josh Berkman taking on KJ Noons. I like Berkman in this one. I think Berkman is just the more experienced fighter. I think Berkman has very good fight IQ, but he doesn't really have the athleticism to carry it quite often. The thing I point out in this is the what's it called? Hector Lombard fight. There we go. He had a very good game plan against Hector Lombard. He was moving very well. He had his guard up very well. He was moving in and out exceptionally. I think he really, really had a good game plan to beat Hector Lombard, but he just didn't have the athleticism to carry it. KJ Noons is a guy who's, apart from Sean, what's that guy's name? The Canadian Sean.
Sam Stout.
Sam Stout. Yeah, what did I think Sean? I was thinking, I wanted to say, not Sean Salmon. I was thinking of just a guy like getting KO'd briefly. Sean Salmon does look like a very well-fed Sam Stout.
Yeah, there you go.
When I edit the video, I'll put a comparison thing up. I'll put two photos of them next to each other. But Sam Stout his chin has gone, so I don't give too much credit to KJ Noons for that. KJ Noons is a very good fighter. He's very interesting. He was good in Strikeforce. But, I don't think he's threatening enough as a fighter to put away someone like Berkman. Berkman is one of those guys, he's good, but his fight IQ can be terrible at times. It can be awful, but it can be terrible. Like the fucking Don Young Kim fight. He was winning that fight standing, that for some reason went to the ground. It was just silly. And he sort of had similar things that have bugged him in that throughout his career. But other times he's been exceptionally on it. I take Berkman in this one. What do you think, Tony?
I'm gonna go off the rails a little bit. I'm gonna take Noons. I think specifically because of what you just said. I think that Berkman can look good at times. John Fitch, for example, in World Series of Fighting, but then he could look terrible. Kim, and then Cote knocked him out too. I think he's going to lose by KO. I think he's going to get caught, and I think he's going to. Actually, no. I'm sorry, not KO. He's not really. You know what? No, never mind. I'm gonna go first instincts always. I'm gonna go. It's one of those things. If you want to throw, don't throw money on it because we're not a gambling website and we don't authorize this. But I'm just saying that if you want, if there's something to make some money off of, like if it were me, I would have, just throw like $5-10 on it because I'm sure the odds are crazy against Noon's KO, because I think Berkman's only been knocked out once. So with that being said, it was his last fight that he got knocked out by Patrick Cote. So I think I'm going to go with Noons. Part of it's nostalgia because what I talked about before with him and Feijiao, and I feel like I have to pick one of them. And something about Noons, I like watching him fight. I do remember him fighting Nick Diaz. He had that. He fought him twice, and I mean he got beat in the second one. But I just remember, those were kind of fun fights and everything. And in the first one, it wasn't even in Strikeforce, and I believe he TKO'd him. So I'm gonna go with Noons. He has a couple interesting wins. He's got a lot of losses though, but I mean to some very good people. I mean, Alex Oliveira, you can't sleep on him. And then, before that, he had a string of 3 losses to Josh Thompson, Ryan Couture, and Donald Cerrone. Not saying Ryan Couture is, elite level, but I mean still. So Noons is my pick by surprise knockout in the 3rd round.
I think you're insane for that. Berkman was winning that fight against Cote. He was, I think Berkman's going to have it together for this one, if it happens. But that we'd agree. To summarize, I'm taking Josh Berkman by decision. Tony is taking KJ Noons via first round or second round knockout?
Third round knockout.
Third round knockout.
Third round knockout.
Via third round knockout. Now, let's go to a fight that will most definitely, I would bet my house on this fight ending in a knockout.
Yeah.
Damian Grabowski versus Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, I think he's had 5-6 fights in the UFC. All of them have been knockouts. Like either he's been knocked out or he is knocked out. I think this is going to be the case with when he fights Grabowski, but I don't think he's going to be the one to get the knockout. I think Grabowski is going to be the one to get the knockout. Not many American fans know him yet. He's from M1 Global. He fought in Bellator a very, very long time ago. He's a very skilled fighter. He's ground game's okay. He lost by north-south choke recently, but I think he will have the skills to put Lewis away because Lewis is very hittable. He's very plodding, unless of course Lewis finds his shinner. I'm not confident in this pick in the slightest. I would not be surprised to see either man unconscious on the canvas because I think what's going to happen is they're going to go in, they are going to throw hands a bit, maybe a bit of clinch action, but one of them will be put away in the first round, and it's more or less a coin flip at this point. I'm going to take Grabowski because he's Polish. It's exciting to see Polish fighters in the UFC. I think they're a good MMA nation. He's a Polish native. He trains in Poland. They've got some really good gyms over there. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take Grabowski. Who do you think, Tony?
I'll tell you what, I didn't really know much about Grabowski, but right before we went on, I actually went to YouTube and I watched his fight for the M1 title, where he won it. I mean, he lost. He subsequently lost the belt. But I watched the fight back in 2013 against Kenny Garner, and he won via submission, arm triangle. And you're right, his ground game is good, but not impressive. But what I watched during this fight, and it was very methodical. He's very dangerous. The thing about him is he's more one-dimensional. I feel like Lewis, we're going to see one thing, a knockout. I feel with Grabowski, he's got more tools. I was especially impressed with Grabowski in the clinch. He was very effective in the clinch with delivering some powerful knees. He had great combinations in this fight against Garner, and he was basically picking him apart. Now, also, not only did he have a great stand-up, but in this fight alone, his ground game was pretty much on point, where he's shooting. A couple takedowns were a little bit sloppy, but he was never in any trouble of getting submitted or getting, his back taken, anything like that. When he would get him down, he would deliver some nice ground and pound. And when, he locked, it was perfect. I mean, you couldn't teach it any better, his choke to win that title. He seems very, just based on physique alone, he's very cut. He's very, he's got a fighter's build. He's no big country. He is very technical. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to translate in the UFC. I think he should not have a problem against Lewis. Again, though, you never know what could happen. I mean, these guys it's going to take one punch and that's it. So far, Grabowski has only lost twice. One was by submission and one was a decision. So we don't know how his chin is. I haven't watched enough to see his chin. He took a couple punches in that fight that I watched, but it was more if he had any holes in his game, it would be on the ground. Let's be honest. Derek Lewis is not going on there to get him to the ground. Derek Lewis is going to stand and trade. This is going to be violence. This is going to be beautiful, and this is going to be fun. So anybody that loves violence, you should tune in for this fight. Grabowski knockout round one for me, and I just think he has so many tools. Unfortunately, I wish it would go longer than a round because I want people to see exactly how technical this guy could be. And if you do, check it out on YouTube. Check out this fight against him. I didn't watch the follow-up fight where he lost it because it ended in the first round with only a minute 28 in. The one where he won the heavyweight title by the submission, it was in the third round. It was a beautiful fight by him, and just the replays alone.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Just a little bit of technical difficulty. Tony, where were you at?
Oh, I was just saying that as far as watching YouTube and checking him out against Kenny Garner, the 3 rounds that he was in, it was just a great technical display where even the punches that he was throwing, they caught him flush, and they were just, perfectly executed from his counters to his combinations, his jabs to his straights, and just amazing. And it set him up for the takedowns and eventually the downfall of Garner for him to win that belt. That being said, I think the future is going to be very bright for him. I think he's going to translate into an excellent UFC fighter. I don't know, how he's going to fare against the elitist, but this will be a good step to see how he does. Like I said, I expect an early knockout from him. And I don't know if the UFC needs another Pitbull, by the way, but that's his nickname. So at least he's the Polish
Pitbull. Yeah,
he's the Polish Pitbull. But it seems like these nicknames, Pitbull should be kind of trademark. I think, by now.
And Pitbulls
So
are cute anyway. Pitbulls are lovely, like friendly dogs.
I like them. I'm all for the Pitbulls. I love animals. So,
Me too. That's why I don't eat them. Anyways, just to clarify about the odds. Just to clarify the odds, Damian Grabowski, -145 favourite. Derek Lewis is a +115 underdog. Tony, you are taking Grabowski first round knockout?
Yes.
And I am taking Damian Grabowski first round knockout as well. Let's move on to actually a very relevant flyweight contest here. Ray Borg taking on Justin Scoggins. Both guys were very exciting prospects. Ray Borg has only lost once, split decision to Dustin Ortiz. Justin Scoggins also dropped a split decision to Dustin Ortiz. I thought Scoggins was going to be the next big thing in the flyweight division. Then there was a fucking Moraga fight. Like, this was so frustrating because, I had a friend who had Scoggins on an accumulator here, and everybody else apart from Scoggins won on his accumulator, and it was such a frustrating fight. Scoggins went for a takedown, and he really, really nearly got caught by Moraga in a guillotine. He only just got out. Moraga is a very fucking good choke artist. That guy can pull off a choke. So you would have thought if you get caught so close in a guillotine, you will stay out of there. It's like, I'm going to not shoot forward with my head out. He did it again, and Moraga finished the choke. And it's like, fucking hell, Scoggins. Scoggins, can he get back on form? I don't know. I like Ray Borg in this one, though. I think he's a smarter prospect. I think he's got more skills. So, especially if he pulls off a finish in this one, the guy who does pull off a finish here, like I said, contendership is up for grabs at flyweight. Someone needs to make a statement, and then they could get put into a fight with Demetrius Johnson. It's very hard to get excited about anybody at flyweight's prospects against Demetrius Johnson, but Ray Borg, I think, is the best guy to sell because, it was a split decision to Dustin Ortiz. You can say, split decision. And apart from that, he's not lost though. So if he pulls off a finish here, I think he will be a good guy to sell as a contender. Tony, who do you have in this one?
I agree with you. I have Borg winning by decision on this one. Again, here we go with the flyweight division again. Who's going to jockey for position? Unfortunately, I mean, the problem is one of these guys it's going to take a serious fall on the rankings, and I mean not a serious fall, but it's going to derail their hopes. I think, and it is a shame for Scoggins too. I mean, Scoggins has lost 2 out of his last 3 fights. And, won by split to Ortiz. But, a third loss is going to, pretty much make him decline down the rung of the ladder. Borg, on the other hand, he's got that 1 loss. Borg is, to me, the more marketable fighter. I like him a lot. I think he's good for the division. I do think that he will be next. After this, he wins this fight. I mean, dare I say he gets in there to get a number 1 contendership. I mean, it depends on what he does. If he finishes him, if he looks very technical and good, I mean, the flyweight division is up for grabs, like you said. Outside of Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse leaves, and then there's going to be an interesting battle to see who goes and see what happens with Benavidez, and when Benavidez wins, and if Borg wins, that wouldn't be a terrible fight to possibly go after. So yeah, I'm going to take Borg. I think he's ready compared to some of the other fighters in the division. I like his chances, honestly, to kind of climb that rung. So.
Okay, yeah, he's an exciting prospect. Fuck it, I'm going to dissent. I'm going to pick Scoggins.
Okay.
Simply because, I don't know, Scoggins has faced the better opponents. And yeah, no real kind of very good reasons. It'll just be more fun if we disagree.
That's fun. Yeah, I think that's why I did it for the one fight. I'm trying to remember. Oh, KJ.
But yeah, I mean, both guys are very young. I think Scoggins is nearly the same age as me, 23. So both of them, they have a lot of opportunities to reinvent themselves. But this will be a very coming out party for the winner. If a winner, especially if they win impressively, they're going to make a statement. So to clarify, I'm taking Justin Scoggins by decision, and Tony, you are taking Ray Borg by decision.
Yes.
The odds makers agree with you quite heavily. Minus 350 on Ray Borg and plus 250 underdog Justin Scoggins. Okay, let's move on to the next fight down on the card. Noah Lahat, Israeli fighter, trains out of AKA. Minus 300 favorite. Takes on Diego Rivas, plus 220 underdog. And he's Chilean, I think. He's from Chile or Argentina, somewhere down there. An interesting South American country. Either way, I remember, the countries for these guys being quite interesting, not usual countries we see that many successful fighters from. Lahat, he's that kind of guy. He's been sort of like hit and miss. He's sort of had varied performances, but he's at a very good gym, so I expect him to really put it together in this fight, and we'll see what he's capable of in the division. So I'm taking Noah Lahat via decision. Tony?
Same. I agree completely. I think I'm basing it off the gym alone. I'm going to go the same thing via decision.
It's a wise pick. Okay, so let's move on to the next fight on the card. This is kind of a weird one, because this is based on the experience level of these two guys. They should not be in the UFC. This is the golden ticket fight. Mickey Gall is the fighter from looking for a fight who will get the shot at CM Punk if he pulls off the win here. Now, I don't like the fact that this fight is made. But fucking hell, like, all the power to them in the world, because Mickey Gall, imagine being in your third pro fight and you are on the pay-per-view. It's probably going to be on UFC 200. The CM Punk fight will probably be on UFC 200. And one of the biggest pay-per-view cards in history. And you're fighting a guy who's got more Twitter followers than the UFC itself in your third pro fight. You can't disrespect Mickey Gall or Mike Jackson for gunning for that, for shooting for that, because fucking hell, I'd do it. I'd fight CM Punk tomorrow. But we can question why this is being done in the UFC. And should we have fighters who are 1-0, 2-0, really, really green fighters signed to the top of the promotion simply to accommodate a celebrity's wish? And I don't think the argument of we'll get into the whole CM Punk debate by another time, more so. But I'm very uncomfortable with this happening in the UFC, because what would the UFC, if the UFC wants to be the NFL of MMA? Now imagine if Brad Pitt said he wants to start for the San Diego Chargers. They'd tell him to fuck off. I mean, obviously lots of people would watch Brad Pitt being starting for the San Diego Chargers, but yeah, that's not a valid reason. It gets more eyes on the NFL for that, but it's a sport. It's not, as Luke Thomas puts it, a celebrity Make-A-Wish foundation. I'm very, very uncomfortable with it. And it's also the equivalent, if sticking with the metaphor of San Diego Chargers here. Imagine if for the Broncos playing, I don't know if the Broncos play San Diego Chargers that much. I don't think so, but I'm just throwing out another team. Imagine if they made the lineup of the other team a selection of amateurs simply to accommodate this celebrity, because it would be unfair putting them up against a professional. But you're fighting in a professional league. You're competing at a professional level. You should fight a professional if you think you could take that. But regardless, that's a rant for another time. This is about Mike Jackson and Mickey Gall. I don't have any thoughts on this fight other than that, because obviously they're two very green guys. One of them will win, probably Mickey Gall. He's a minus 550 favorite. Mike Jackson is plus 375 underdog. I don't expect to see elite mixed martial arts on here. It's unfair to expect that, but hey, all power to the guys. One of them will fight CM Punk, the golden moneymaker. Yeah, Tony, what do you think of this?
First, I'm actually going to correct you, my English friend, for all the Americans out there that were groaning when you said the Chargers don't face the Broncos that much. They're in the same division, so they
I said, do they? I was questioning.
Yeah. So they face. I just want to feel smart right now. I just want to tell you something you don't know. But yes, they face each other twice a year, so there you go, everybody. Everybody that groaned in America, relax. Relax. It's okay. They have football, but it's
We actually use our feet more.
Yeah, you can't use your hands. So that's a whole other story. Same thing. There's not much to go on this. It's another kind of publicity stunt. It's a marketing thing. We all know that. I mean, it is a golden ticket. Exactly. The potential right now, I mean, you're going to be in the grand stage, UFC 200. This card is going to be insane. And the crazy fact is you're going to be on the main card. That's what's going to kill me. You know damn well CM Punk's going to be on the main card. It shouldn't be. But although you never know, the way that UFC, I can't say that. I mean, UFC has been very good with putting on some great fights on UFC Fight Pass even. That's where he belongs. The question is, though, CM Punk is a name, and he's a face, and you know that's going to happen. It is what it is, unless, I mean, my first, inclination would be Mike Jackson via Moonwalk, but that's my dumb joke of the day for everybody. So, there it is. So anyway, I'm going to go with Mickey Gall. I'll go submission first round just for the hell of it. Who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us, Adam. You never know. Sometimes some of these fighters you don't think about, they're on a big stage, they're fighting for something. Maybe they're going to fight for a contract. Maybe we're going to see the next coming of Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner. Probably not.
They don't want to look too impressive, though. Like, the guy who wins this, he's probably going to want to dial it back a bit because then they won't give him to CM Punk.
This is true. This is very true. So, I mean, good for you, Mickey Gall. Good for you in calling out CM Punk. I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, he's fighting in this low-level promotion, and Dana White's there, and and Dana White, I watched that episode of that, looking for a fight, and Dana White's like, I like this guy. I like this. Yeah, of course you do. Because he called them out, and that's to some people that are casual fans, it becomes a story. So good for you, Mickey Gall. Best of luck in there against the Moonwalker and Mike Jackson. Man, this is your first. You better come out to some Michael Jackson. I'm thinking smooth. Put a glove on, make it interesting. I mean, make it memorable for us. I mean, if anything, you're going to be on a grand stage, bigger than you've done it. If you do it up, man. I'm a fan. I'm going to admit this. I'm a fan of Michael Jackson, his music, not his lifestyle. I just don't condone anything, and I think he's a scum for doing that. But I do.
We don't know he did that.
That's true. That's true. But I would just like to say that I am a big fan of his music. So Mike Jackson, if you somehow listen to this, call me up. We'll talk about your walkout. We could accessorize, and at least you could have a big production. I mean, go for it, man. And you know what? Hey, maybe you'll shut up Mickey Gall and you'll get CM Punk. So who knows? But yeah, Mickey Gall submission first round. In all fairness, based on not much.
No, so, yeah, I have no. Yep. I might as well take submission first round on this as well. Yeah, they are the little guys. Yeah, not really sure what else to say on that. Let's go on to the first fight on the Fight Pass prelim card. Artem Lobov, a guy I like. A lot of you didn't watch The Ultimate Fighter, the most recent season. He's Conor McGregor's teammate. He trains out of SPG Island. He hits hard. He hits very hard. Not necessarily, I don't know about like he's not elite technical level. He knocked out everybody in the Tough House. So he's impressive apart from Brian Hall in the final. He's impressive. He's a good fighter. He fights very emotionally, but in a good way, you know what I mean? Alex White came into the UFC 9-0, got a good win in his first fight, but dropped 2. So, yeah, I see Lobov taking this by knockout. Tony, any opinions?
Just based on some of the reading that I'm doing on it. What the scouting report on Lobov is he's a counter puncher. So... and with that being said, I also am reading that White likes to throw a great, he throws with great volume. So it's going to depend on what Lobov can do. Can Lobov defend that? Honestly, I'm going to go against you just because I'm not a Conor McGregor fan, And you are. And I don't know. I'm not sold on it. Things I'm reading right now as we're going on. I think that just the way White's style and his scouting report, just based on volume alone and the fact that he fights a little bit longer, he's very durable. I'll go with White. I'm gonna go with him via decision because that's a safe pick, I think. So yeah, I got nothing else on that besides just the little scouting report I read. So
Okay, fair play, fair play. So to summarise, guys, our picks for me, I have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson via second round knockout, Jared Rosholt via decision, Ovin St. Peru via KO in the first round, Benavidez by decision, Sirkunov by first round knockout, Mike Pyle by decision, Josh Berkman by decision, Grabowski by first round knockout, Justin Scoggins via decision, Noah Lahat via decision, Mickey Gall via first round knockout, and Artem Lobov via first round knockout. Tony's predictions: Johnny Hendricks, fourth round knockout, Jared Rosholt decision, OSP via first round knockout, Benavidez second submission, Sirkunov via first round knockout, Mike Pyle via third round submission, KJ Noons via third round TKO, Grabowski via first round KO, Ray Borg via decision, Mickey Gall via first round submission, and Alex White via decision. Okay, guys, we shall be back soon with a review, and we should have a review of this week's news in MMA. I'm not sure who's going to be joining me for that in that show, but should be out sometime soon. A lot of interesting things have happened in this week. But hey, this will be one awesome fight night. UFC Fight Night 82 goes down this Saturday. These fights are fucking exciting. Do not miss this one, guys. Tony, anything you want to shout out to our lovely listener before we shoot off?
not really. Just enjoy the fights, everybody. If you're a casual fan, watch some of these prelims. Take the time. If you have nothing to do, it is Super Bowl weekend, but the Super Bowl doesn't start till Sunday. So as your pre-Super Bowl party, I implore you, watch these fights. Take a look at some of these prelims. I know the big names for all of you. That big fight is not on the card, but trust me, trust us. Some of these guys are going to be phenomenal. Keep that in mind, though. There's going to be some fights that are boring. But please, watch the prelims. From when I became a fan, I found that a lot of people, especially at the live events, don't show up to the events until it gets main card time. To me, that was a waste of money. There's 12,
Exactly,
13,
it's bullshit.
There's 12, 13 fights, and nothing is sadder than going to the MGM Grand in Vegas or the Rogers Center in Toronto, both lovely places, two of my favorite cities on this planet. And I've been there numerous times. And my buddy and I would always go. We would be in our seats at 4 p.m. Eastern, whatever it was, local time, to watch those first fights. These guys are fighting to make money. These guys are hungry. A lot of times, these guys are going to put on the show for you, 9 times out of 10. Plus, it's amazing. It's just crazy to hear a pin drop when you hear, 15,000 capacity. There's maybe a couple hundred in the stands. Come out, support them. These guys are doing this for a living. They're the best of the best. Even the guys that start off on the card. Yeah, Mickey Gall. Okay, notwithstanding Mickey Gall and Mike Jackson, but everybody else, just watch it if you can. It's on TV. It's free. You can't go wrong. It's free. If you have other stuff to do, that's fine. But just watch. Become a fan. We want you casual fans to become hardcore fans like us. We're fanboys. We're crazy. We're talking about this, and we love doing this. And what we're trying to do on this show, and as you see, with YouTube or via listening to it, we're trying to reach out to the audience. We're not just doing this because, we have nothing better to do. We love this. We're informed. Adam does a great job. So thank you, Adam, for putting a lot of this together. I'm honored to be on this show.
Likewise, man. Honored to have you.
And honestly, we want to bring the world together. And, in this world that needs peace, maybe we need some fighting. Fighting in the octagon, ladies and gentlemen. So please enjoy the show this weekend. And, it's fucking great, man. It's awesome. This sport is fantastic. So, yes, enjoy that. I rambled on enough. Enjoy it. Everybody have a wonderful...
I think there's no better way to end the show than an appeal for world peace.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, I mean, Eric, guys, like, it's always great being part of the pre, even if it's a guy you'll never see in the UFC again. It's just always nice being that part of that story, being able to view their fight career, because these fights are some of the most important moments in their lives. And it's just really special to see how much it means to them. The one I think of always was the first fight on the card. It was Kaylin Curran, and she pulled off a submission win, like her first kind of big win finish in the UFC career. And she broke down and cried. And there weren't that many people in the stands, but it was a really, really cool fight. I felt honored to witness that moment in Kaylin Curran's career, her rising to the occasion, because she put in so much work. It's quite clear these fighters, they put in so much work, like through their camp, through everything, for just this brief moment they are on such a big stage. And of course, like, if you watch the prelims, that makes you know who the guys are on the main cards, because these guys are going to be on main cards very soon. And there's nothing better than being able to watch a guy grow from their debut in the UFC, or even before then, and get to championship level. I mean, the guy, for me, that's always been Nurmagomedov. Before he made his UFC debut, I was calling for him to be UFC champion. He could have been. He very easily could have been. He could have beaten Anthony Pettis, and I'm still a little bit begrudged that that hasn't happened yet, and that the people who made fun of me at the time haven't been fully put to rest. But anyway, enjoy the fights, guys. Don't drink and drive. Let's keep working towards world peace globally.